I'm Brenda Earl-Stokes, the owner and creator of Piano Skills for Singers. Today's video tutorial is all about how to count off the band in jazz. Counting off the band is a really important skill that every musician should really have. Singers and instrumentalists alike should feel comfortable counting off the band in any tempo and groove, as should choral directors, band directors, and anyone else who might work with a live band or even just a pianist. The ability to count off a band is an important skill that shows that you know how to address the musicians and speak their language. It also puts you in greater control of how a musical experience will work out, since you will get to decide the tempo and the groove of the piece. Counting off the band may seem super easy or super difficult, but it's actually a really important moment in your music making. The count-off establishes not only the tempo, but also the rhythmic framework for the whole song. And having the proper count-off will get you and the band in sync and into the right mindset together. Even if you're a chorus conductor who's doing just one sort of jazz-inspired number, a proper count-off will get your group to perform with more authenticity. So let's get started. So before we get ourselves into the specifics of different time signatures and different grooves, I want to take you through the step-by-step process to get you ready to count in the band. All right? So before we even get into starting the count off, the important thing to really understand is that the person who's counting off the band has to actually hear what the song or piece is going to sound like, what the rhythm section will sound like, or what the underlying groove is going to sound like. That has to be in your head as you're preparing to count off. So how do you do this? It doesn't mean that you have to have been playing jazz for a great many years, but it does mean that you have to do some advanced preparation by listening. So if you've got a particular piece you're working on, you could look up a recording of that piece of one of the great jazz masters playing it, or you could just find something else that is of a similar groove, like a medium swing at a certain tempo, and listen to it enough so that you kind of get a picture in your mind of what it's going to sound like. The more authentically you're feeling the experience, the more you'll be able to present that in the count-off to the musicians that you're working with. So now we're going to look at the step-by-step process before we get into the specifics of how to count off at different grooves and tempos. Step one is you want to sing a little bit of the song in your head or even out loud. If you're doing this in an educational environment, it would be great for you to have the whole group sort of sing what the first few bars are going to sound like. The reason that you do this is to make sure that you get the correct tempo. And you might think, I sort of have a general idea, but a lot of times, especially if you're doing vocal music, you might realize that you've counted it off too fast for the words to be able to come out correctly. So the first step is to sing a little bit of the song. Step number two is that you're going to tap or snap the correct tempo. So it could be, this is the tempo that I want, you're sort of singing a few bars, or you could tap to make sure that you've got the right tempo and sing along, again, either in your head or out loud a little bit, okay? Then the next thing you're going to do is snap for a few measures. And I'm going to show you how to do this for different time signatures and different grooves, but you want to actually snap for a couple of measures so that everyone who's going to be singing or playing together kind of has a moment to kind of get themselves geared into that. All right. And then the fourth step is you're going to count in the band following the protocols that I'm going to show you in a minute. Now, a note for teachers, if you are in an educational environment, then I strongly recommend that you let your students take turns counting off the band. This is such a great way to establish musicianship skills in your students, to help them explore leadership roles, and it can also help them to take better ownership of how the rhythm and the groove feels as a group. So now we're going to look at specifically 4 different grooves that we come across quite a lot in jazz. The first one is 4/4 swing, so that could be fast or slow. The second one is a ballad, a 4/4 ballad. The third one is Latin or funk, and this includes bossa nova. And then the fourth one is the Jazz Waltz, so a 3/4 time in a swing feel. So the first thing to know if you're counting the band off in 4/4 time is where do we put the snap, okay? Now you may know this already or you may not be completely sure, which is totally fine. In jazz, we snap on beats 2 and 4. So you go 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4. Now you might find this challenging to be able to do, but it's a good practice for you to turn on a recording and practice snapping on beats 2 and 4. Again, for educators who are watching this, this is a great thing for you to have your students do to get used to this feeling of snapping on 2 and 4, snapping on the backbeat. All right? So as I said, we're going to sing a little bit of the song. So I can't give you anything but love, baby. So there's my tempo. Kind of found the tempo that I want. All right. So now I'm going to snap on beats 2 and 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. Right. I'm giving the band a chance to kind of get comfortable with the idea of what this tempo is. And then I'm going to go 1, 2, 1, 2, 3, 4. All right. So let me break that apart for you. You're going to go 1, 2, 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, so that's how we do the count off. It takes 2 bars to get through the count off to prepare the band to play. Now, the 1, 2, 1, 2, 3, 4 part might make sense, but the part that you may not get is I went a 1. Okay, what I'm doing there is I'm establishing that this is a swing feel. I mean, it should be pretty obvious anyways, but this is traditionally what people do to count off the band. So take a second and do the count off with me. So first of all, I'm going to sing a little bit of the melody in my head, then I'm going to find the tempo, okay? And then I'm going to snap on beats 2 and 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay? And I'm going to give the band a chance to get used to that. And then I'm going to go, say it with me, 1, 2, 1, 2, 3, 4. Excellent. So we can do the same thing at a slower tempo or a faster tempo. So let's do this faster. So let me say the tempo is here. I'm doing a faster piece. 1, 2, 3, 4. There's my tempo. It's faster. And I'm going to go 1, 2, 1, 2, 3, 4. All right. What if I'm doing a swing that's a little bit slower? Maybe I'm doing a blues. So I go, there's my tempo. So it's slower. And I'll go, that's my tempo. 1, 2, 1, 2, 3, 4. Excellent. So the best thing that you can do is practice this count off at different tempos. Try it medium, try it a little faster, try it a little slower. You're welcome to practice this along with a metronome because it will help you to stay really secure in your count off. And again, educators, I know you're watching this. This is a really great musicianship exercise that you could do a little bit at every rehearsal with your jazz band, your jazz chorus, your small ensemble. To get them used to the idea of establishing these tempos and counting them off. The next groove that we're going to work on the count off is the ballad. Now, jazz ballads, we're thinking of a straight 8ths ballad, okay? So it's going to be 1 and 2 and 3 and 4. And so it's slow. Okay, so now instead of going a 1, 2, a 3, 4 and snapping on 2 and 4, we're actually going to snap on all 4 beats of the bar. Because if we snapped on 2 and 4, it would be too slow. It would be hard to establish the actual groove or the tempo because the snaps would be too far apart. So in this case, you're going to snap on all 4 beats like so. 2, 3. Okay, so that's going to be your tempo, and you can go 1, 2, 3, 4. Then they would play. All right, You could do 2 bars if you wanted to, but 1 bar is probably enough because it's at that, such a slow tempo. It sort of gives people a chance. Now, if you wanted to be very specific about this being straight eighths, then you could do your count off like this. Remember, we always establish the tempo first, snap for a minute to get the band used to what we're doing, and then you're going to go 1, 2, 3, and 4. And then they'd play, okay? And sometimes I like to count off that way if I really want to establish the fact that the ballad is a straight eighths ballad, that it's not one that has swung eighths in it, all right? So that's another great thing for you to try at different tempos. Try it very slow, maybe not as slow as some of those Shirley Horn ballads, but slow, and then try at a slightly brisker tempo for a ballad so you can get used to that. So the next one we're going to work on is a 4/4 straight eighths piece. Now this could be a bossa nova, this could be a straight eighths Latin feel, or one of those kind of rock fusion kind of sounds, or funk if it has straight eighths. And so what you're going to do is you're going to snap on all 4 beats. You're going to go 1, 2, 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, so you can see it was very similar in some ways to the swing in the way that we said the counts, but we were snapping on all 4 beats. All right, so let's try it again. 1, 2, 1, 2, 3, 4. Excellent. Now, if the tempo is really quick, then what you might want to do is just snap on beats 1 and 3 instead. So you could go 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 1, 2, 3, 4. All right, so it can be adjusted a little bit for tempos. So that's how we would manage a 4/4 straight eighths count off. Lastly, we're going to have a look at the jazz waltz, and this is something that's very common in jazz. It's a swing feel, so it has the swung eighth notes, and it's in 3/4 time. Now, this again depends on the tempo, but this is going to be the count off that you use. So instead of snapping on beats 2 and 4, you're going to rest on beat 1 and snap on beats 2 and 3. So you're going to go 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. See how I'm doing that? 1, 1. Okay? So we're going to do our usual. You're going to start by snapping. You're going to go 1, 2, 1. Then you're going to count 1, 2, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. Okay, so you see how I did that? You could hear there's a 1, 2, 3. That's there to help to establish the swing feel. So let's try it again. 1. We're establishing the tempo for the band. Then you're going to go 1, 2, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. Okay? So that's how you do a jazz waltz. If it's slower, you could go 1, 2. There's the tempo. I'm going to snap for a minute for the band to hear it. And then I'm going to go 1, 2, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. So that's how you do a jazz waltz. So as you can see, there's a protocol in place to give you a framework for how to count in the band. And you can see it's actually not super difficult to do as long as you follow the step-by-step process. Step 1, sing a little bit of the song either in your head or out loud to make sure that you choose the right tempo. And that's very important because once you've turned on the band and they're going, it's too late to change the tempo. So you want to make sure that you're very, very clear about what tempo you want. So the next thing that you're going to do is tap or snap the tempo you like along with your singing to make sure that you can kind of get that all worked out. The third thing that you're going to do is snap using the correct snapping protocol depending on the groove that you're in and the time signature that you're in. And you're going to do this for a few bars to let everybody who's performing together, everyone you're counting off, to be able to feel the tempo for a couple of bars. And then you're going to count the band in following the protocol that I just showed you today. So I hope that this was an easy tutorial to get you started counting off the band. Once again, the more you do this, the better it is. So as with everything, the more you do this, the better it will get. Please don't wait until you're standing in front of the band at a jam session to try this out. This is something that you could and should practice in advance. Practice counting yourself in, even if you're singing and you're not playing an instrument. If you are a saxophone player, practice counting yourself in. The more used to doing this you are, the more confident you'll be when you're standing in front of a group or standing in front of an audience. And once again, for all of my educators out there, consider giving all of your students, all of your singers, all of your instrumentalists a chance to count in the band. It's such a terrific musicianship builder and a confidence booster, and something that I think you will find is really supportive to your group. Thanks for watching this video. If you enjoyed this video, please hit subscribe and leave a comment below and let me know what other topics you would like for me to cover. You should also take a moment to check out my website, pianoandvoicewithbrenda.com, for a whole bunch of great information and material like this video. Thanks for watching.